Oh, gosh.
So this is about unions. And a specific union is now picketing against Amazon 6 days before Christmas, the Teamsters Union.
I have not heard about this.
All right, so let me tell you about it.
Okay.
All right, so the Teamsters Union, big organization, lots of political. They got a little muscle in the political scene, and
They're called the Teamsters Union.
the Teamsters, yes.
Oh, I don't know about this. Go on.
And so they want more money for their Amazon delivery drivers, the contracted drivers. And so what they do is they wait a couple days before Christmas. And then they strike saying, we're not going to deliver your Christmas gifts. We want more money. And I disagree. Like, you know what? Negotiation between two people, have at it. Air your grievances. I'll air mine. Let's come to some kind of central point between the two sets, right?
Yeah.
But when you start blackmailing and leveraging and using situational advantage,
Yes.
when the person that's going to experience what you're doing has nothing to do with it whatsoever. So, for instance, like teachers' unions, or unions in general in education. When money is tight in an education system, what do they do first? They strike on the busing side.
Yeah.
They strike on the busing side because that will affect parents the most, and they're more likely to put political pressure on administration to approve whatever, it's an advantage on the negotiation side because now you've pissed off the parents. Well, why did you pick that one? If their money was tight, why was busing the first thing you went to? Because there's political advantage in it. So this Prime delivery, Amazon delivery, contracted workers, you're going to take little Billy, who's not going to get his Christmas present, and use him as a component of leverage to get more money. You are a new form of evil.
You're a monster.
You're a monster.
Yes.
Is it successful? Is it advantageous? Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Amazon more likely to be the better person and pay more wages so that Billy doesn't get disappointed on Christmas? Yeah. But you are a Satan if you use Billy and his Christmas experience to get what you want. And, I was just taught from super young to treat people how you want to be treated. And there's not a single person who would say, if you want some kind of advantage, to victimize someone else to get an advantage and call that a virtue of any kind.
So, I mean, I agree 100%. That's such a shitty thing to do, and it's shitty timing. So what would you say? I always try to say devil's advocate.
Yeah, advocate the shit out of it.
Devil's advocate. If they are like, but listen, if we bring this up at a more convenient time for shoppers, we don't get listened to because we don't have this leverage. We can go to our heads and the powers that be and say, listen, I think we're getting unfair wages and we would like more money and we would like more benefits or whatever it is. And it's a slow season right now and we have time to discuss this. Do you think those figureheads will seriously consider and look?
You just lose. And if you don't have a good argument, you just lose and you have to say, okay, so union, the theory of union, I agree with. Okay, so what is union? What is the purpose of a union?
Isn't it sort of to make sure that people aren't getting screwed over,
No,
so to speak?
No, not at all.
What is it?
Okay, so let's just say I have.
It's in no way helpful for that?
No. Like,
Okay.
that might be a benefit where, like, if you see some kind of, like, fringe, a fringe benefit, yes, for sure. But the market sets what is permissible and what not. So let's just say I work at GM and I sweep the floors. And GM can afford to pay me $80 an hour to sweep floors. So I have two things, whether or not GM can afford me to sweep floors, or is there somebody willing to do what I do? Like, there's a line of people who would sweep floors for $27 an hour. So the market would say, what is the demand and how many people are in that line that would be willing to do what you do? And totally appreciate $27 to sweep a floor versus they can afford it. So you got a BMW in your driveway. You can afford $10,000 to paint your house. The market value might be $2,500 to paint your house, but you can afford it. How much would you be willing to say, well, I'm going to pay $10,000 way above what the market value is because I can afford it versus, like, can Amazon pay their drivers more? Absolutely. What is the market value for paying a driver to do something? Do we want it to be what they can afford or what the market should support?
Yeah, I mean, some people are like, oh, well, if you're swimming in the dough, you should be giving more to people, even though it doesn't really work. It's not so much justified by what's coming in or what's average.
And that's a standard. Like, you have to ask the question how you would want to be treated. Do you want the painter to set his rate based on what you can afford? Or what is a good value to give to the person that's eventually buying your product? And labor is basically buying your product. Are you giving good value for what I have to expense to buy that value? And if there's a line of like one person and I need three, I have to raise what I'm willing to pay to get three where there was one. Now, a sweet deal would mean to make scarce something that, you know, like let me say there's a line of 1,000 people who would sweep the floor for $27 an hour. A union is going to make it scarce so that I can't hire the people that want the job at $27. I have to use this guy, and I have to inflate his value above where the market would hit, and he's got $87 to sweep the floor, right? That's a sweet deal, which nobody in the world would want to be treated that way, right?
Yeah.
And so it breaks the first golden rule. Like, okay, so if someone was dealing with me, I would want to make sure you were giving me good value and I was giving you good value. And as long both of us were happy, we'd both just stay in the negotiation and we'd continue the relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's only when sweet deals happen where there's nobody in the world that would come into that value and say, oh, so we have a guy who wants to sweep the floor at $87 and he wants $90 an hour. But there's 1,000 people who want to do it at $30 an hour and they'd be absolutely sublimely happy doing that. Why can't we just go to the people who would be willing to do it? Why do we have to sacrifice for this guy to make $90 an hour? That's when it gets like sweet deal thing. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So what should happen? So Amazon, if the market was true, would be able to say, all of the employees that are happy making what they make to deliver products, cool. Anybody wants to bail out and renege on the negotiation, bail out, and we'll hit the line with people who are willing to make whatever. If we run out, then I got to inflate the wages for those people and bring in new people.
So really then, yeah, it's sort of, if you don't like it and you think you can make money elsewhere, then go elsewhere.
100%.
But then if I can't find anyone else to replace you, I'll have to pay more.
100%. So if we broke up, right? We're in a relationship. I love you so much, but I want to make sure that this is real. So I want you to go out there and date 10 people, right?
See if the grass is greener, so to
If
speak.
any of those 10 people are better with what you have, then you are free to go date somebody who's absolutely better than me. So going into it, I know that the competition is going to magnify my weaknesses. So I have the choice to up my weaknesses and not be weak in the areas, to attract you and make sure that you're part of this relationship. Or if they're better out there, go be happy with somebody else. And now you, as a consumer, have to weigh whether or not what you're giving up is lower than what you can get on the free market, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if I was a union, I would put stipulations that you are only allowed to date people who are dead, right? And it's limited in the fact that I know that I'm going to win that bargain because I've limited the people who you can then choose from. But if I give you free reign, go hit the entire marketplace and see if when we break up that I'm as good as I think I am. And if I'm not, I've got to increase the benefits of being in a relationship with me. And then you go sample 10 other relationships and say whether or not they're better than the one that you already had.
But if a driver says, I really like this job, I like it here, but I need to be making more money.
Yes.
And I think I should be making more money.
Right.
And the person says, you know what? This is what I pay. And if you think there's better, then go and find better. And they quit and they leave. Then you can't find anyone else. So you do raise your pay. And that driver says, hey, I'd like to apply and work there now.
100%.
Do you hire them back?
100%.
You think they're going to do that?
It doesn't matter if they do. If there's a line of people that are willing to work for that rate, you were at the top of the line and you can say yes or no, and you just move to the next person in line.
If someone quit because they couldn't get a raise.
Yes.
And then came back and said, hey, now that you have raised your pay, I want my job back. You're going to hire them back.
Mathematically, yes.
Do you think most people would have that? Or do you think you'd be like, what the hell, dude? You
Well,
just quit on
it
me.
doesn't matter. That's one of the considerations, that the thing you have versus the thing that you think you can get. Like, that's your risk, not mine. Like, the job pays for what it is. And so if I have internet and it's $100 a month, and new customers I'm offering $150 a month. Or, I'm sorry, $75 a month. Mm-hmm. And you as a consumer, you're like, all I have to do is quit you and I can come back on a rate that's more advantageous to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of silly, but if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do.
That's kind of like, have you ever walked into a store, like to get food or something, like a restaurant, not like a sit-down restaurant, but somewhere you go and you order food, and they're like, oh yeah, you get this, buy one, and then on your next visit you get whatever. And you're like, well, can I just use it now? No, it's for your next visit. I said, I can go outside and come back in if you'd like me to. Or you could just use it now.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and honestly, those benefits of and that's what's most important, is that you have a one-to-one negotiation. If we're in a relationship and I'm giving you all the advantages, you have the ability to say yes or no. But I also have the ability to say yes or no. It's only when I take your yes or no or my yes or no away that's no longer negotiation. It's a forced deal. And when unions do what they do, when they start leveraging things, they try to control the yes and no and your options after the yes and no. Right? So I want to say, I'm going to be a total dick and not deliver packages to Billy for Christmas. But also, you're not allowed to go to the next person in line who will totally deliver packages to Billy. If you have controls of both sides, it's not a fair negotiation, because it is limited, right? It is skewed to your direction where you have all the advantage and I have none.
How do you feel about non-compete agreements? Have you ever had to sign a non-compete?
I did. Yeah. And there's been times when I have also forced other people to sign non-competes.
Yeah, like for 1 year or 6 months or whatever, you cannot work for a competitor,
right,
so to speak. Are you into those?
I like market. So I want to be able to break up with you and you choose me every time because of my benefits, right?
Yeah.
And I want to regularly break up with you so that you keep choosing me. And I want to take all of my principles and align them so that you choose me every time, right? Mm-hmm. So if the floor sweeper was really good at their job, then the GMs of the world would jump at taking that guy over the next guy in line. But you got to have value. Like, you got to have something in trade that would make me choose you. There's got to be something about you that's valuable enough to make me say yes.
Yeah, it's almost like if you are going to the negotiating table, so to speak, and you're trying to get more money, what's more advantageous to have? A list of reasons that you personally are valuable to this company, or, well, I could go elsewhere and get more.
Right.
Or other people are paying more. Like,
so if you feel on your side of the table, if you feel like you can break up and you feel strongly about that, then do it. Mm-hmm. And if the Amazons of the world feel like they can break up, then frickin' do it. And just let the market dictate what happens next. If there's another guy in line that will do that job to that same level for that same rate, then the market managed an equilibrium. But if you're at $80 or $90 to sweep floors and there's a guy that would do it at $30, that's a sweet deal that sort of took the marketplace and shielded it from market forces.
Mm-hmm. I had such a cool experience one time. This is a little off the subject, but I turned in a notice one time, a 2 weeks notice for a job that I was at for a couple of years. And I was going to go elsewhere. And I took it to my boss and I said, by the way, here. And he opened it and he read the first 2 lines and he went, no. And he tore it up and he's like, no, have a seat. Let's talk because that's not happening. And I was like, okay. And because I feel like if I were just any Joe Schmo he could hire, and it was a job that turnover rate was very high, to have someone there years was pretty rare. He could have easily replaced me in a couple of days, but he was like, oh no, because I know the next one will not be as valuable. Make yourself that.
More valuable.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep.
In the marketplace, when you don't have a sweet deal, it means that if you're not valuable, you can be replaced. And if you are valuable, you will be rewarded. That's the true nature of the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.